Welcome. Final stream of the week. Today was a rough day. It started off pretty nicely, but it ended up turning around, and there's a major update for the market. Currently, it's not so good, but it depends on how you look at it. It's not good for probably most people who are long biased, but there's always ways you can profit in the market. There's always ways you can trade. I'm gonna cover all of that tonight, so yeah. Unfortunately, Bitcoin gave up too. It was doing very well in the morning. It was at 43K. It was looking like a double bottom. It was beautiful. And then the stock market started rolling over and Bitcoin kind of fell with it. So we're going to start off with crypto, and then obviously we're going to talk about stocks. Futures for stocks. Russell futures are flat, but S&P futures are down 0.4%, and NASDAQ futures are down 0.7%. You had Netflix drop like I think 20% after hours, which is probably a major reason why the NASDAQ is kind of down the most after hours. And obviously Peloton today we'll talk about. Let me make sure I have them both on my watch list so I don't forget. Alright, so let's start off with Bitcoin, which we're going to talk about it for the stock market, but you also are now seeing it on Bitcoin. Bitcoin broke down from this inflection zone we've been talking about for a while now. 40 to 43K, that was a major zone from this high, from this low, from your low back in January. You've broken under it. Now you have a couple supports, but they're really not that big. So the first one you're gonna have is pretty much, let me move this over just a little bit. Draw the line right here, okay? At around 39.6K, you have a low from September 20th, and you have a low from January 10th, last Monday. You are pretty much testing that as we speak, okay? So I'll try and go back to that later in the stream and see if we're above it or below, but all that really matters is where it closes tomorrow. And if you break that support, then you have one final support until the stop loss of the swing, which is your low from August 5th. Around 37.3K. You break 37.3K, and I think you're probably headed back down to 30K. So it's either you bounce like right here, which I don't know, it's not the strongest of supports. And if you don't bounce right here, you got your last line of defense at 37.3K. If you give that up, I think you're going back down to 30K. That's why the stop is at 37.1K. But we'll see. I think really, if the stock market didn't exist, I think Bitcoin from a technical standpoint was completely ready to go this morning. I mean, even the stock market in the morning, it's in the title of the stream, there was a major fake out that happened today in the morning, where we went from everything was kind of looking, from a technical standpoint, it was kind of looking like so many stocks were at their bottoms. You were getting the exact reversals at the make or break areas to the upside. And then later in the day, we had some news come out from the Fed, and you were selling off prior to that news, but you can go and look at the 5-minute chart. The second that news dropped, boom, the market shot down, and you just kept going down from that moment onwards. So I don't want to blame the Fed. It's not their fault. All I'm saying is you were kind of holding support. And actually, let's just go look at this for a second on the S&P, okay? Take a look at this, all right? We had this blue range on the 5-minute, right? Over here, you were holding support, okay? This was the candle. You were holding support. You were actually even bouncing for the first time in like 3 hours. You were starting to bounce. You went up 1/3% in 5 minutes. You were testing the VWAP. And then on this candle at 2:10 EST, you dropped 1/3% within, I think, like a minute or two. I don't know exactly, but it was very, very quick. And that's right when that news really started hitting a lot of publications. And the crazy thing about this is yeah, that news, you know, allowed us to sell off over here. And probably I'd say that news, at least this part of the drop was probably just on that news alone, where you pretty much dropped all the way down to retest yesterday's low. Now, if you remember, go back to yesterday's stream, I said you can be okay if you just hold yesterday's low. I said that was the important level. Even this morning, I put out a tweet and Discord notification when we were all the way up over here saying, as long as we hold yesterday's low, we're fine. And at the time, at your high of the day, you were a 1.5% above yesterday's low. And then you had a natural pullback over here, a natural bounce. This will work. You had a natural bounce over here, and then I think you had the Fed coming out over here with what they said. I'll try and pull up an article in a little bit, which dropped you down to here, and then another technical breakdown. I'd say up till here was kind of the Fed stuff, and then you had a technical breakdown over here in the last hour of the day, and then this was kind of your fall through after that technical breakdown of yesterday's low. So that was kind of the price action for the Fed today, but you could go back and look at Bitcoin. Same thing over here. You had an amazing morning. Okay, all the way up until here, you were naturally pulling back. It was all good. All right, and then we look over here, you know, it kind of did pull back with the market at 2 o'clock over here, but it was kind of after hours when Bitcoin actually started falling, so it fell a little bit after. We're going to come back to the market in a second. Ethereum, we're going to go over now, which is currently under its low from January 10th. It's the lowest price Ethereum has seen since the end of September, I believe. So this is your lowest price in Ethereum, on Ethereum. In about 3.5 months, if I'm reading that correctly, almost 4 months. So yeah, Ethereum, you're not too past the 886. I mean, you could make a low double bottom, even if you go down to like a 91-92% retrace, but if Bitcoin breaks under 39.6k, you're probably going to go lower on Ethereum. So we'll see what happens. OMI pulling back off the resistance zone. I mean, you could probably even draw a trend line and you could see you hit that on OMI. It just went up 60% to start off the year, so now it's pulling back a bit when pretty much everything else is pulling back. Can't be surprised, not much of any technical update there. So let's focus on the market now. What's up, laid back Mr. Robinson, Frank, Lebray? Let's see. Let me see if there's any messages. Better Free says the S&P futures are nearing the 200-day moving average. Zeke, hopefully you know, things get better. Wishing you the best. And yeah, all right, so let's talk about the market and what's going on. So we confirmed a breakdown today for the market. This is the first time you've seen a lower low, like an actual swing low that's a lower low in a while. We can just kind of, let's go to the S&P. Let me clear up the S&P chart. We'll just take a look at this. All right, I'm just going to chart all the major clear lows on this chart that I see. Okay, you could look at all these circles. Every single one was a higher low than the previous one. This is the first time in about a year that you've made a lower low on the S&P 500. So we're going to start off with that. That's not a good thing. You also took out a very big support today on the S&P. This was the make or break area that I've been talking about all week. All right, this yellow zone over here around 450. It was your previous all-time high. It was support from December twice, and it was also held yesterday, and you even bounced off of it this morning, and then you gave it up later in the day. So you clearly broke under this level. You also filled the gap from October 18th, and you closed under that gap fill level as well. So your next level is around 442.5. That's yet another gap fill. And if we go over to the daily, you have the 200-day moving average at around 441.83. So the area of support for tomorrow is 441, 442 for the S&P. If that area breaks, you're probably going to come down to fill this gap at 436. So it's either you reverse around 441, 442, or you're probably going to come down to fill this gap, and then after that you have 430. And then after that, we'll talk about it if we get there. So you definitely broke down on the S&P. We can take a look at the NASDAQ, which actually, if you really zoom in, it also did break under its make or break area, which is 14,180 from the high in February of last year, the high in April of last year, the high in June of last year, the low from July of last year, the low of October last year. You broke under that by inches. You are also down 1% after hours. It's actually at 14. Futures are different, so there's no point in saying that, but you're down 0.75% after hours, so that would take you down over here. So if you were to open down 0.75%, you would have very clearly broken that make or break area. for the NASDAQ. But if somehow you rally overnight and your futures go up and you gap up, then all you need to do is go back up 0.25% to reclaim that level. But tomorrow, if you close under 14,180 again on the NASDAQ, then that's just more confirmation of this breakdown. And we already talked about the breakdown on the NASDAQ when you were breaking this channel with these white trend lines over here. I talked about it right when it was breaking it. Same thing on the QQQ. We talked about the breakdown over here. The QQQ also broke down from the 200-day moving average today for the first time since the COVID crash, I believe. So, yeah, a bunch of different breakdowns today is a clear way to put it. The Russell 2000 clearly broke down from its range that it's been in since February. Honestly, it's been in since January of last year. So you held this range, you held over 205 for a whole entire year. Today's the first day you closed under 204 in the past year. So it's actually the first day you closed under 205, it looks like. No, yesterday you closed under 205. So it's the first day in a year you've closed under 204 for the Russell. Next level is a gap fill around 197.5. It even gave up the demand line of this little wedge that I had charted. So if you look across the board, you broke down everywhere. The ARC, we already talked about the demand line breakdown and the breakdown of the $80 level. That was very important. So the NASDAQ, the ARC ETF, the QQ, they already broke down earlier in the week. We already talked about it, but today the S&P 500 and the Russell 2000 broke down with candle close confirmation. So that leaves us with a technical breakdown across the board. What do you have maybe going for you? It's this for the SPY tomorrow, or maybe the day after if it doesn't test it. Your 200-day moving average. I'm sure at least intraday, if you don't, you probably will bounce off of it intraday. You might end up breaking it later in the month, later next month, but you're probably going to see some sign of support at the 200-day moving average on the S&P. So that's 40. I'd probably focus more on the SPX 200-day moving average tomorrow. The SPY is just the ETF for it, so probably get a more precise result just looking at the S&P 500, like the actual index. So I'll probably look at it that way. But that's your short-term support. The ARC is not too far away from the $74 gap fill. The Russell is not too far away from a gap fill as well. It's about 1.5% away. So it's not like you don't have any supports beneath you. You do have supports pretty close to you, but none of them are as major as the supports that we just broke across the board. So I would love for it to be a fake out. You just tap these supports and then you reclaim the levels you just broke down from, and it's just like this major fake out, like technicals never matter. This is the one scenario where I hope that they wouldn't matter, but can't make this stuff up. You definitely did break levels. So now we just got to look for the next levels, take it day by day, and that's really what you have for the market right now overall. On lower time frames, nothing much to really talk about. The ARC is kind of sitting at this channel demand line with potential classic bullish divergence. The Russell is kind of sitting at a demand line as well, no divergence, but I don't know how strong these demand lines are going to be. You just kind of flushed all day. You also had a lot of 4-hour bearish engulfing candles across the board on most of the indices. You have a gap fill on the QQQ around 360-ish, and then the SPY we already talked about, the 442, 441 level. So those are your short-term supports. You broke the major supports. Right now you have minor supports, so that's really what you're looking at for the next couple of days. And then also the VIX, it's the highest candle close since I think September actually no, there's all of this date over here. That's the highest candle close since December 6th. But you're kind of back into this resistance zone. The last, I don't know, 3 out of the last 4 times you went up into these high $20 areas. You did top out. There was one time you went all the way up to 35 in December. So we'll see what happens. But if you're watching the stream, we did talk about the VIX breaking out of this falling wedge, the hidden bullish divergence, and the 200-day moving average back test as it was happening weeks ago. We did talk about that. And now you're seeing it playing out. If you look at Bollinger Bands, you are above your upper Bollinger Band on the VIX. Typically that doesn't last for long. And then you're also below, by far, this is the furthest you've been below the lower Bollinger Band in a long time on the S&P 500. Typically that shouldn't last for too long. So really looking at this, you might what I'm seeing right now is you might drop a little bit more to hit those supports I just talked about. And then you might get a dead cat bounce maybe towards the end of the day tomorrow or early next week. And then next week, Chad Freezer said in the chat, we have FOMC, so that'll probably decide what the middle of next week looks like. But long term, unless you reclaim the levels you just broke under, you are definitely kind of starting a bearish trend for the first time in, honestly, since like April 2020. I mean, we could just go on higher time frames. We already talked about this earlier this week. You gave up the channel on the S&P 500 you've been in during this whole entire bull run. You already gave up the channel on the Russell. These are weekly charts, right? The ARK has been underperforming for a long time. The NASDAQ gave up its channel. So yeah, we already talked about all these breakdowns early in the week. It's just we kind of had final levels of support on the daily, and those levels broke today with the close. So that's really what you had today. For the overall market, the US 10-year rejected a historical resistance. If you've been watching the stream, we've been anticipating this perfectly. Like literally every single move in the past few months, we've been able to look at the US 10-year with technicals, literally. I said there was resistance here. It's been pulling back here. Now you're probably going to go back test 1.77 if the technicals play out. But it's kind of in a 50-50 area. Gold is just holding its gains after going up for the last few weeks, which again, if you were watching the streams, we talked about gold in these areas. That's a huge circle. The dollar, I think, is still back testing. Yeah, it's still back testing the previous demand line as a supply line. The Dow Jones broke the 200-day moving average. The Russell 1000 growth ETF broke the 200-day moving average and its channel. The Russell 2000 growth ETF was one of the first ETFs to break down. This one broke down like last week. So that's really what you got, but gold is doing well. We talked about how bullish gold looked in these areas, and what else? The Hang Seng Index. After the stream yesterday, it kept going up. We talked about everything here. Go back to my streams in the beginning of the year. We talked about the double bottom, the down sloping channel. Yesterday, we talked about this bull flag breakout over here. You just got the fall through price action from that. If we go over to the weekly, I've been saying for the past 2 weeks how bullish this chart looks. Classic bullish divergence, bullish bad, break of a supply line, break back over an ice line. So there are different areas of the market that are doing well. I think Mitch Ray's been talking about commodities as well. A lot of commodities doing well. Let's take a look at cocoa futures. I don't know how those are doing. Take a look at different. So you can see cocoa futures been going up lately. Lumber obviously has been doing very, very, very well for a long time. What about sugar? Sugar, not so much. Let me think of something. I think Mitch Ray shared like orange juice or something. Might have just been oranges. Let me try and type this in. Orange futures? I don't know what that is. I don't know. I'm not going to look through it, but he's been talking about that lately on his stream. So that's the overall thoughts. We can go to lower time frames before we move on to other stuff and just break down the price action today. But yeah, you had gap ups across the board. Then you started pulling back, and then the dip just keep dipping for the rest of the day. I mean, that's just kind of what it was today. The ARK is actually still, after hours it broke it, but tomorrow we'll see if it can reclaim this support. But it's not look too good. So let's go over options. After that, we'll talk about some feature tickers, and then I'll do the ongoing trades. Hit the like button, hit the subscribe button. So let's go over here. Also, if you go in the Discord, if you just go on my Twitter, I made a cheat sheet for the QQQ, the S&P 500. If you want all the levels on the 4-hour chart up and down, go check those out if you want to. Even I did one for Fisker as well. So let me go over. Is this accurate? All right. So this is the week so far for options. For premium members, this is the 10th green week in a row. I said I was going to do this last night on stream, and I did it today. But I updated the last 3 months of options trades in premium, and we're nearing 10,000% in potential profits. Nobody played all of these perfectly. These are just potential returns, added up all the winning trades and subtracted all the losing trades. And yeah, overall in this year alone, it's already over 1,000%. So yeah. It's pretty weird. The premium options trades. I actually sent a message to premium members earlier today. Let's see if we could find it. I said, protect this channel at all costs. Like this channel right over here, options ideas. Like this has outperformed everything. It's outperformed the market. It's outperformed pretty much every other channel on this Discord. Like there's just something about this channel. I don't know. All of these ones, it's just been bread and butter for the last 3 months. Honestly, even more. 10 green weeks in a row. And we've already just had 2 weeks of nonstop selling in the market, and I primarily only share, not only, but I primarily share calls and not puts. I've only now just started to share some more puts this week, but We've mainly played calls this month, and the market's, I think the Nasdaq's down over 10% on the month currently. And yeah, but options and premium are yet another good week. However, we had a great first week for non-premium options, but this week, not so good. I mean, we had some SPY, I don't know if those were calls or puts. We had SPY options probably on Monday. No, Monday market was close on Tuesday. Those went down and they went back up in profit. Then we had two really good trades. We had Activision calls that I actually shared a target for. So that actually was a 50% return. It wasn't a potential return. That was the actual return. And then Roku calls also alerted earlier this week. Those went up 180% this morning. But then, yeah, just not good trades for the last few. We had Snapchat puts fail and SPY puts fail yesterday. Those were just horrible timing on my end. It's actually been really, really frustrating. Like, I don't know what it is. It's just something about this channel right here. And it's like, I don't know. But this might be like the first time there's been 4 losing options trades in a long time. But yeah, the puts yesterday, it was just horrible timing on my end. And then today, I shared NVIDIA calls, and the market just started pulling back for the rest of the day right when I shared them. I had to sneeze. But yeah, I shared NVIDIA calls, and the market just kept pulling back the whole day. And then later on in the day, I shared SPY puts. I shared SPY calls, which I shared them at 2:03 p.m. The premiums were 339, and so that was 2:03. I said 2:03. You could see the share price was 455.82 when I shared them at 2:03. Literally on the next 5-minute candle, 1 minute later, it went up to 456.5, and the calls were up, I think, like 15%, and like literally 45 seconds to a minute. It just shot up, and then right after this came out, literally like right, so the calls went up 15%, and then this drops. So Fed releases long-awaited study on a digital dollar, but doesn't take a position yet on creating one. They explore a plethora of issues and notes that public comment will be solicited. Fed Governor, I don't know how to pronounce that name, who has been nominated as vice chair, is the biggest advocate for the project, while other officials have expressed skepticism. And right when this dropped, 215, just boom, just nonstop. Like, we were already kind of red before that. I already went over this. We were already kind of red, but we were starting to bounce into that VWAP, and then we were just testing VWAP, and then just nonstop selling for the rest of the day after this article. And you know, that didn't increase selling for a bit, but then it was, you know, technical levels were broken. So who knows if this never came out? Like, just imagine in a different universe. Okay, imagine that never came out. Okay, we didn't flush 1/3% in 5 minutes. And we actually ended up breaking this VWAP right over here. We broke out this range to the upside, and we closed the day above 450, 455, because we were at 458 in the morning. Then we would have had hidden bullish divergence developing. We would have made a higher low at the lower Bollinger Band. We would have broken out. We already did break out of 1 hour falling wedges. I already redrew them because they got invalidated. Like, we were so technically set up in the morning. Like, the change from the morning to the close was crazy. Things looked so bullish to me in the morning, and I did not wait for confirmation today. I put out a tweet earlier that yesterday and today have just been horrible analysis on my end. You know, I always talk about when things are going well and when they're not going well. I've just been off yesterday and today. I've actually not done bad at all. Today I was up a lot in the morning. I just closed flat. If I didn't have stops, I would have closed very, very red, but all my stops really saved me today. So personally, I have nothing to worry about from how I did today, but just the options trades and my analysis of the market, I just over analyze things. For an example, yesterday when we were under the level, I was like overly bearish, and then we bounced up this morning, and then I was overly bullish. And yesterday I didn't wait for confirmation. Today in the morning I didn't wait for confirmation, and all I had to do was wait until the close today. Now we have something that looks like confirmation. Even if this is literally the bottom and we just go all the way back up, you did have a confirmed breakdown. If it just doesn't play out, it doesn't play out. A breakdown doesn't mean for sure you're going to go down. It just means you broke down. And we never had one confirmed until literally 4:00 p.m. today. And it's my fault. You know, I didn't follow my own rule. I saw that earlier in the trading questions channel. Somebody asked me about it.
Julian.
So yeah, this morning I was able to share 2 options with premium members. Both of those were amazing. I shared IWM calls in the morning. Those went up 90% pretty quickly. They went up 90%, probably like in an hour. Then I also shared Activision calls with premium members this morning, and those went up, I think, 40%. Yeah, those went up 40%. So today was 2 for 2 for options and premium, but it was 0 for 2 for options and non-premium. Like literally, there's no difference between the swings I share outside of premium and in premium. There's no difference between the options I share inside and outside of premium. I just do it by numbers, right? I just try and, bounce them out a little bit. But in terms of like the analysis and the probability, if something looks good to me, it has a certain probability, I put it out. Like, you know what I'm saying? So those things are just luck. So it just kind of sucks. But that was really what it was. So yeah, everybody makes mistakes, and it's not easy to try and, publicly give out analysis on the market when we're at make or break levels and we're literally doing this on lower time frames. Like, this whole entire area is a make or break level, and I'm trying to share analysis of what's happening while we're literally chopping around like this. It's just really, really hard to do it until you wait for confirmation. I should have just waited for confirmation. So that's kind of where everything is at right now with the overall market. We already went over the options. Also want to give this update before we talk about some other stocks I want to bring up, like Netflix and SoFi and a few others. I said for the last few nights that premium prices were going to be raising next week, because that was already scheduled. I said at the end of November the next raise was going to be the end of January, and I'm deciding not to raise the prices next week. Maybe I'll probably do it in the end of February or something now. But the market is the NASDAQ for 2022 is down 10%. The swings have done horrible, to be straightforward. The options have done amazing so far this year, but the swings haven't done too well. And I don't know. I don't know. If the market's down this much, of course, my options have done amazing. Swings haven't done too well, but it's pretty obvious that if the market's fallen this much, that most people are probably in the red so far for the year. So I don't want to, be raising prices and increasing the access or decreasing the access for people who want to join when times are tougher in the market. So I said there is a direct correlation, only in a sense that it's much harder to swing as well. I already said that, so I'm not going to repeat it. But yeah, hopefully for anybody who was interested, that makes it a little bit easier. But just really want to quickly touch on it. If you did sign up this week, there was like 4 or 5 people that signed up this week. DM me, and either you can get a coupon code next week when I put out the sale. That'll give you that same amount off for your next month. Or if you just want a refund that's equal to the coupon code amount, I'll just give you a refund. Whether I give it right through the same site that you signed up on, or if I just PayPal you or Cash App you, I don't care. But hopefully that helps. So let's talk about some other stuff now. Dennis says, is this an AMC GME chat? We talk about all stocks. Yeah, we talk about all the different stocks. We talk about AMC and GME quite a bit on the stream. Whatever is kind of, showing signals on the charts is really what we talk about here. Bitcoin almost back to 40K. Oh, wow. Yeah, it's bouncing right off that level. Remember we just talked about this level? The 39.6 level? 39.6 level. It broke under it for a bit, now it's bouncing. I wonder what happened on lower time frames. Let's go take a look. Well, yeah, you just got a large candle right there, 1% move. What else was I gonna say? So yeah, just overall for the market, I don't think large caps look good at all. I think you broke down, and I think a lot of these large caps are gonna keep selling off for a while. Maybe not super roughly, maybe they just start going sideways. Also, it depends on how earnings go. And remember, next week for earnings, we have IBM, Logitech, Philips, 3M, Microsoft, Verizon, Intel, Tesla, AT&T, Boeing, Visa, Apple, Robinhood, McDonald's, all next week. And then the week after, we have Facebook, UPS, Alphabet, Ford, Nokia, Unity. So now we're going into earnings with a lot of these stocks down for the year so far. We'll see what happens, but I think for a lot of these large caps, really the only thing that might be able to save them is earnings. Apart from that, if you look at most of these large caps on higher time frames, like, of course, most of them, I'm not going to say it like that, but yeah, no, most of them have historically always gone up, right? If we look at Amazon, Microsoft, Apple, and we go over to the monthly charts, Historically, all they've pretty much done is go up, but you know, there's going to be pullbacks along the way. And if you were to close a month like this, that's a monthly bearish engulfing candle for Apple. For Amazon, you'd clearly be giving up this little channel or wedge that you were in. So you're getting monthly, weekly breakdowns on all the large caps, and it's really, we already talked about this earlier in the week, but all of this, not all of them, but many small caps and mid caps and growth stocks kind of have done this for the past year. They've already been doing this. Now here's the thing, the NASDAQ, the S&P, the large caps, all of them are pretty much like right here. We were at all-time highs a couple weeks ago. So they're pretty much all like right over, let me make this a little bit clearer. They're pretty much right here. A lot of these growth stocks have already done this. So I don't think that if the NASDAQ and the S&P keep selling off that the growth stocks are just going to outperform them like every single day. Overall, if the S&P and the NASDAQ keep going lower, you're probably going to see even lower prices for a lot of growth stocks. But I do think when we get to the bottom, the growth stocks are going to shoot up like crazy quick because they're all selling off on low volume and they're already down so much more than the large caps. So I think we're not there yet, but I think at some point when you have the bullish variables and it makes sense fundamentally, maybe with some earnings, you can get a very nice rotation. But for right now, I think it's more of a risk off scenario for everything in equities short term, not financial advice. So I think really how I'm looking at things is day trading. Again, when you're moving up and down so frequently like we are in the market so far this year, it's amazing for day trading. That's why there's over 1,000% in potential profits for premium options trades. But the swings have done horrible. It's just not a swing trading environment. And I think it's now time to even more so focus on day trades with all this volatility. And then when we start seeing the triple classic bullish divergence on the daily at harmonic PCZs again, and you're starting to see the indices turning bullish again, that's when I think you're going to have very quick, sharp rises back up. I think honestly you're going to rise, probably going to make common retraces, and that's pretty much between a 50 to a 61.8% retrace, maybe within a couple of weeks from this dip that we just created, but only when we find a bottom. I don't know if we're there yet because we just broke down the large cap indices. So that's what I see. I think right now it's, for me personally, and this could literally change tomorrow depending on the price action. If we gap up tomorrow and we reclaim the levels we just broke down from, my whole entire thesis could change. But as of where we are right now, I think large caps probably going to continue selling off. I think growth stocks will slowly sell off, but not too much more. I think a lot of them have already done a lot of selling. I think they might just start going sideways, and then maybe within a few weeks we'll probably start to see some reversals on a lot of these mid caps and growth stocks. Maybe mid-February or early Feb, I don't know. And we'll take it from there. I don't want to predict too far out ahead of that because who knows what happens. We have a lot of fundamental things to get through as well. So that's the market. Apart from that, let's talk about Fisker first. Fisker was at the 886. It was at the PCZ of a bullish bat earlier today, and then the market sold off, and now it's, I don't know, maybe if you gap up tomorrow, you could still call it valid. But if you go a little bit lower on Fisker, then the only other opportunity is an alternate bat, and that would be down at $10. So there was a potential for it earlier today. I even shared this in the Discord. But I also said, I don't remember where I said it. What did I type? I can't remember what I typed. Let me just put in Fisker and we'll see if I can find it. I don't remember, but I said somewhere in the Discord, I don't know, I think somebody helped me out here, but I said somewhere in the Discord earlier today that Fisker, I said in the Swing Alerts channel. I literally put it right here. Alright, so I shared this in announcements first, which is just amazing. Even if this harmonic doesn't play out, the fact that it developed another one is just crazy. Look at this, okay? This was the original SPAC butterfly. We all know that trade. And this was the secondary butterfly. I put out a swing on Fisker right over here. I put out a swing on Fisker right over here. I put out a swing on Fisker right over here. It's just crazy. Literally, all this chart has done since it was created was create 4 major harmonics in a row. And the last 3 of them I put out a swing on at the PCZs, and all of them were winning trades. This one, I don't know so far. You're still just going straight down. The other ones you had like classic bullish divergence and hammer candles and like other things. Right now you don't have any. You have potential classic bullish divergence, which is why I said
Most likely will be a Fisker swing if it starts developing classic bullish diversions and shows some sign of support around the PCZ, but have to wait for confirmation. So you were at a PCZ for a little bit today. You don't have any hammer candles. Your divergence there's a potential, but it's not developing. So I don't know, if we start getting something that looks like this on Fisker and then the MACD cross over to green, that's when I'd probably be comfortable putting on a swing. But just in general, it's really cool to see how it did this in the past year and a half. And then on the 4 hour, I put out this cheat sheet on Twitter earlier, but these are all the levels on Fisker. You're getting close to a pretty important support area between 1190 and 1250. You could see this was support in August of 2020, support in September of 2020, support in April of 2021, support in May of 2021, support in September of 2021, and you're only a few percent away from getting into that support area. And you kind of have this wedge with potential triple classic bullish divergence on the 1 hour. So I don't know, maybe if Fisker does something, if it does something like this, you have a wedge, you have potential classic bullish divergence and support. You could do something like this and then maybe retest. That would be, where I would maybe share a swing. But even this could be like a day trade, maybe not tomorrow, but maybe on Monday. I don't know, we'll see. That's Fisker. Clov, the fake out got me here as well. I even put out a tweet saying it was looking bullish in the morning because it was. But I did not wait for confirmation. Like I said earlier in the stream, that was my biggest mistake today. You could see it's happened to a lot of stocks today. When they were over here, right, the candles looked something like this earlier in the morning, which is exactly what you wanted to see at the make or break areas. A lot of the candles look like this, and then your gains faded and faded and faded until the close. So it ended up bouncing off this demand line. So this is how it's looking at in the morning, right? You have this now classic bullish divergence on the daily for the first time in a long time. Last time you had classic bullish divergence on the daily, you went up about 13% in 2 weeks. You still have it developing, but in the morning, you were above your open from this candle. Classic bullish divergence on the daily. 4 hour classic bullish divergence confirmed. This first 4 hour candle, you were taking out this whole entire resistance supply area. On the 1 hour chart, it broke out of a wedge. It just did what the market did. It faked me out today. I got caught today, and that's really what it was. Cheddar Free says heading out. Going to try to scan for lottos. Make sure to check out the lottos or the options updates channel if Cheddar Free says find some lottos for it tomorrow. Of course, not financial advice. Have a good one, Cheddar Freeze. So yeah, Clove, still gotta wait. Probably you just want to wait for it to get back above 3 and find some support. It is nearing the apex of this falling wedge, but you gotta focus on the overall market for a little bit. So apart from that, let's talk about my mini watch list. Currently, I'm still watching Snap for puts under 34.52 with some confirmation this time, hopefully. Because if you break on 34.52, you don't have much support until 29. Ford, I may be watching for puts. Ford broke down from this $21 level today, which is also a gap fill level. But if we go on the monthly, let's go on the weekly actually, sorry. If we go on the weekly, you can see a 21.86. Let's go back in time. Used to be a major support area from 98 to 2001. It was support 3 times in a row, and you were able to get above it, but now you're back under it. So maybe I'll be watching Ford for puts as well. Peloton, I have no problem trading this either way. I actually was able to find a 40% day trade for myself trading Peloton calls today. It was like a very small position, but it was halting down, and right over here I went long on Peloton calls on this hammer candle, and my target was this. It was, I think, the 382. Yes, so my target was right over here. It was weird because you gapped down from this halt, so I was targeting this little gap fill in the 382, so I took profits right here, and that was almost pretty much the highest part of the day after that. So I was able to walk with like 40% profit on like a 5-minute trade or 15-20 minute trade on Peloton calls today, and then it sold off again. But yeah, Peloton, crazy stuff. Let me pull up the article. So I'm watching Peloton just because it's a volatile stock right now. It might provide some day trading potential to either side. But Peloton to halt production of its bikes, treadmills as demand wanes. Peloton is temporarily halting production of its connected fitness products as consumer demand wanes, and the company looks to control costs according to the internal documents obtained by CNBC. But then I saw somebody say on Twitter earlier today that, let me see if I can pull it up. I don't know. Don't use me as a news source ever, literally. But I did see this on Twitter earlier. And I think this came after even after hours closed. Let's see if I can find it. I fall in love too easily. I fall in love too fast. I fall in love. So many articles on their page. Give me a second. For love to ever last. It's not going to let me pull it up because I need a subscription to Bloomberg. But all right, let's just put it like this. I saw this tweet. Peloton CEO says production halt rumors are completely false, and this guy cited business, which is Bloomberg. So I don't know. I don't know what's going on here. Honestly, I'm just focusing on the chart for right now. All right, there you go. You helped me out. Miroslav says it's false rumors. CEO said I have no clue. So go find that what happened by yourself. But this news is what halted down Peloton and dropped it a lot initially. And then I think they did something with earnings or preliminary earnings or something after hours. Like so many different pieces of news today. Go look into it all yourself. But yeah, just volatility. You can see I have all these alerts set up over here for tomorrow under some supports and resistances for intraday moves. We'll see what happens. But next up, Netflix. I'm watching this level on Netflix. I was actually watching Netflix before the earnings, but I didn't want to touch it until after the earnings, thankfully. It was actually at the PCZ of a shark and a support back from August of last year. And I wanted to wait till after earnings, and after hours this happened to Netflix. Yeah, it fell 20% after hours on earnings, unfortunately. Weaker than expected Q1 guidance, and they met revenue estimates. Guidance was just really weak, it looks like. So Netflix collapsed after hours. But one level I'm watching on Netflix is this. Already have an alert set here. So after hours, I think it fell down to like 400, pretty much around 400. So if it drops like, I don't know, another 3, 4, 5%, then I'm watching 386-ish. That's like a monthly previous resistance. Maybe it acts as a support. I don't know. I'll have to watch it in trading when it gets there. So I'm watching that. Activision. Still watching this one. Maybe for puts if it breaks under the low from January 18th. Maybe for calls if it gets back above 83, which is yesterday's high and today's high. So that was just kind of in this little kind of two different inside days in a sense in a row. So if it breaks either direction, you could probably just look at it like this, right? This is after hours. Wait, what? Oh, that's January 18th. Okay, I'm like, all right. So it's just kind of in this range you can see over here. So I'm just watching to see whichever way this range breaks. Maybe I'll trade that. I'm just sharing different things I'm looking to trade in the next couple of days right now. They're all very, very volatile, so I'll probably have small positions on them. SoFi is another one. I actually traded SoFi this morning for 90% profit. I could have probably had like 250% profit. I went long SoFi like right at the open. Where was the open today? I went long SoFi like right at the open, and I pretty much played like up till here. I pretty much played like this first green candle, and I took profits like an hour into the day, and then the next hour it did like double the amount, but it's all good. Still made a nice amount of profit there. But SoFi, obviously, we talked about the news yesterday. It's now back above the historical support zone with classic bullish divergence on the daily, and it broke out of the wedge. Now, today's candle's not the best looking, so I don't know, and you still have this gap fill at 13, but if it can hold the support zone, I'm keeping an eye on this. And yeah, it's pretty much my watch list. Maybe even Apple for puts I'll be watching. So that's the majority of my watch list. I have a few other things, but it's all good. So the swings today, despite the Russell closing down 2%, the swings held up pretty decently. Palantir was up. The thing is, like, a lot of the swings are up like 4, 5, 6% in the morning, and then they just close flat. So I don't know. It depends on how you look at it. Palantir, and this one's actually. So I also another area like today was just horrible. Like the options for non-premium. I'm gonna blame the SPY on the Fed, but the Nvidia ones, they just didn't work out. And I shared a handful of new swings because, again, in the morning I looked at everything and things looked bullish to me, and I did not wait for confirmation. That was my huge mistake today. And I shared swings, and these swings could definitely still play out. Just the timing on them again was horrible because they were all up 4 or 5% on the day, and then they all closed flat. So It's pretty frustrating, but Palantir's at the PCC of a crab, potential triple classic bullish divergence. When I looked at this in the morning, it was waning towards green, now it's not, and just huge technical changes from the morning to the afternoon session, which it's my fault. But yeah, Palantir's down a few percent, no technical change since the entry. Baba, we've been talking about this one for a while. I finally put out the swing today. This one's still around the entry. Weekly classic bullish divergence, alternate back kind of, down sloping channel, bounced off of a previous resistance, slipped into a support. Tesla was completely flat today, but it was up in the morning. And it's not too far away from the stop. Your final support is 979 on Tesla. It got down to like 989 after hours, I think. We'll see if it can hold it. Let me say, if this Tesla swing stops out and you break under 979 with confirmation, I might play puts on Tesla. I already thought about this. I might play puts on Tesla down to this gap fill at 940. So pretty much like for like 977 to like 940. I might take a put trade if it does break down with confirmation. I don't know. Beyond bearish engulfing candle today, there's not much you can do. There's not much you can do on the swings when the NASDAQ is down 5% this week alone and 10% on the month. And since the high in November, it's down 13%. There's just not much you can do. But that's beyond JD. Was up 7% today. Remember this range we've been talking about on JD? So thankfully, we've been talking about how bullish the Hang Seng Index is. And JD, a Chinese stock, doing very well today. It almost hit the first target in the morning. It was less than 2% away from the first target. And then it sold off with the market later in the day. But it gapped up huge today. It broke out of this little 3-day range that it was in. And broke back over the 200-day moving average. And it got super close to the target. And then the market pulled it back down. So whatever, it's still up 11% since the entry. If it breaks back on the 200-day moving average, I might just mark it as a winning trade, just so, you know, maybe that doesn't mean you have to take out all your profits, just maybe for scaling, just so if the market doesn't drag it back down with everything else. But that's really it. SPLK, bearish engulfing today. This will, I don't know, what I might do is I might manually change a lot of swings on the sheet tomorrow at the close, depending on how they look. I usually just wait for them to either hit the target, hit the stop, or for it to be a technical break even, which means it goes up 10% from the entry and falls back down. But tomorrow, because of what we're seeing in the market, I'm probably just going to look through all the swings, and then I'll maybe make some decisions just based on how some of these swings look. They might actually be in profit, and I'll just cut them. They might be 4% down, and I'll just call them stopped out. I might just have to do that tomorrow, but I'll figure out. Maybe I won't. I don't know. So that's really it for the swings. And yeah, I try to spend some more time with the analysis tonight because it's a crazy market. Futures have fallen quite a bit more during the stream. When I think the S&P futures were down 0.4% when I went live. They're now down 0.9%. NASDAQ futures are now down 1.3%. And then Russell futures were flat when I went live. They're now down 0.7%. So we're getting the drops in futures right now. The key level I'm watching tomorrow is low. We've been talking about for a while. I just didn't think that we'd get there this quickly. 441, 442, 200-day moving average, gap fill. I'll watch that for maybe some calls intraday tomorrow if it bounces there, or if it can find some support there. If it doesn't, maybe if it breaks under those, I'll maybe look for puts. I don't know. Tomorrow could be crazy. A lot of options expire tomorrow. We'll see what happens. Remember, market could break down. All you got to do is find a way to make money, okay? You could trade calls intraday and make a lot of money. That's what we've done this whole entire month in premium, all right? Market's down a lot this month, but we've traded intraday calls so many times, and there's been a lot of profits. As you can see, this is all pretty much from this month, okay? So you could day trade, you could play puts, shorting is an option. There's so many different ways you can play the market, and eventually when we do get all those bullish signals again, now you're actually going to be in an area where a lot of these stocks have had nice retraces, and they're going to have a lot of upside with very, very low volume to try and get back up, or you're going to need very low volume for them to start bouncing back up again. So you just got to be patient. You just got to get through these times, or I know it's not been good for a lot of people. You just got to find a way to keep going, and I promise you, as long as you keep working hard and you invest in yourself and you try and do this the right way, you're going to find a way to make it all work, all right? So that's going to be the final stream of the week. I'll be live all of next week. And thank you all for the support. I know it's a lot tougher to even think about stocks at night when things like this happen in the market. So I appreciate all of you for watching the streams after a very long day, I'm sure. But again, these are the times where if you focus and you learn the most. All right. So the 27 of you in here, that means you really want, okay, with what the market has done so far this year and just today alone, the fact that you're watching the stream right now, trying to learn, that means you want to figure out this craft. Okay, I'm not an expert. I'm learning my own journey with all of you. So you just got to keep focusing and take it day by day. Don't focus on what your P&L tomorrow or today looked like. Focus on what it can look like in 2 or 3 years if you do this the right way. That's what you have to keep focusing on, all right? Have a good night. Hit the like button, hit the subscribe button. Don't sign up for premium tonight. There's going to be a sale next week, so it's one of the only times I'm going to say don't sign up for premium tonight or even this weekend. Wait until the sale is out next week. I don't know how much the sale is going to be at, but we'll figure it out. And join the Discord. It's free, links in the description.
I'm resigning my position here at once. I've got to get away. Nor all I understand is that it's better to be hurt a little bit now than a lot later on.